In our continuing series on audio terminology, or audio terms that you'll often hear either in reviews or manufacturer brochures or spec sheets or whatnot, today we're going to talk about the term overdamped. And when I hear something referred to as overdamped, it's normally in relation to the listening room or the listening environment and not particularly towards a piece of equipment. Now, yes, sometimes you will hear overdamped used in the context of a subwoofer or a loudspeaker, suggesting that the bass is constrained and maybe stops too quickly. There's not, a natural ringing, if you want to call it that. Most people would say that, trailing off on a bass note is not a good thing if it should stop instantly. But in some cases, with a good acoustic recording, there should be some reverberation, if you will, of the bass notes. But I'm going to concentrate today on what overdamped means in the context of the room and how you might know if it's overdamped. Now, there has been for many, many, many years, there has been groups of audio enthusiasts and home theater enthusiasts that think they need to turn their living room, listening room, home theater room into a sound booth where you would record, vocals or something. So they put damping panels or pads and thick pile carpet all over the room to essentially kill any of the reflected sound or the bulk of the natural reverberation that's in the room. And frankly, that's an extremely bad idea for system performance. Now, in some cases, some limited amount of damping can be helpful to tame things like slap echo, where if you go in and you clap your hands and you hear the sound bouncing repeatedly for a long time off the ceiling or off the walls, you can judiciously place some damping panels and pads to either minimize or get rid of that completely. When we're talking overdamped, though, it's going way too far in the direction of trying to kill all of those reflections that are typically in your room. I'm sure that there's going to be some people that say, no, that's the proper way. You want to take the room out of the equation. Well, I'll tell you something. If you've ever been in an anechoic chamber, which is exactly what we're talking about taken to the extreme, there are no reflections at all in an anechoic chamber. If you go in an anechoic chamber and you listen to anything, any system, any loudspeaker, a portable Bluetooth speaker, whatever, it will sound horrible. I guarantee it. I've done it. How do you know if you've gone too far and overdamped the room? Well, one thing that shouldn't happen is that if you walk into your listening environment or your home theater room or whatever, if you walk into it and all of a sudden it feels like there's pressure on your ears, and if you speak, it sounds very unnatural and constrained and confined, that room is, I can pretty much guarantee, overdamped. Just to point out, I'm not talking about noise floor. Absolutely, we want our listening environments to be as quiet as possible, but damping is not the way to achieve that. Building thicker walls and the room construction is more important in that case to reduce noise floor than overdamping the heck out of the room. The other thing is very, very simple that you can tell right away if a room is overdamped. I could be blindfolded. I don't need to actually see anything in terms of the damping panels or pads or whatever is set up in the room. And that is, sit down and listen to a well-recorded, natural recording of acoustic instruments in 2-channel, just in straight stereo. And you tell me whether or not you hear speaker and instruments filling the middle up to the speakers to a certain point. You hear nothing beyond the speakers, nothing above the speakers. The sense of space is constrained to being within the plane of the speakers and not outside it. Now that's unnatural. That's what I would call a small or a shrunk soundstage presentation. And if you've been to any live music venue, you know that the sound is large and enveloping, and that's what you want. So if you do that test and you find that everything is very, very closed in and constrained, maybe think about removing some of that damping that's in the room. And concentrate on placing damping where it's improving bass performance and not worrying about canceling reflections from the speaker. Because with a well-designed loudspeaker system, you actually want some sidewall and some ceiling reflection. It's a good thing to give you a larger and more natural soundstage. So I hope that helps understand the term overdamped or overdamping a room. And please keep those suggestions coming for terms that you don't understand and you'd like me to talk about. Thanks for watching.